Valkyria Chronicles, developed and published by Sega, was released in North America on November 4th, 2008, 7 months after the Japan release. The game was released to a plethora of positive reviews. GameSpot gave it an 8.5, IGN called it the best strategy game of 2008, and the Guinness World Record Company gave Sega an award for Best Strategy RPG on PS3. Despite glowing reviews, Kotaku reported on December 15th, 2008, that Valkyria Chronicles sold a measly 33,000 copies during November in North America. Was this a case of differing opinions between reviewers and players? Is it because this was the entry game for a non-existent IP? Does the game hold up today? My name's Yo, and there's only one way to find out. Warning, there will be spoilers ahead. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Valkyria Chronicles was released in 2008 for consoles before coming to PCs in 2014. There is also a remastered version, released in 2016 for the PlayStation 4 and later the Nintendo Switch. This retrospective will be covering the PC release. In terms of bugs or glitches, the only issue I found was controlling the tank. With both mouse and keyboard or controller, sometimes tank units would vibrate and lose most of their movement meter. While better on a controller, the issue still existed. I am unsure how prevalent this is on other platforms. With that out of the way, what is Valkyria Chronicles? Valkyria Chronicles is a tactics RPG game set in a fictional Europe during the start of their version of World War II, otherwise known as the Second European War. Gallia, a neutral country, is attacked by the Imperial Force, this game's version of Germany. The player is then tasked with commanding Squad 7 of the militia to defend the country from invaders. The game is not shy about showing the cruelty of war during the plethora of cutscenes. It even touches on the Holocaust with the in-universe genocide of the Dark Sea. Clearly this game's version of Jewish people. While the plotline touches on serious topics, make no mistake, this is still a game with anime characters and magical weapons. The Valkyrie in the aforementioned title are a race of warriors that took over most of Europe and eventually died out. What does that mean for gameplay? It means the appearance of anime girls wielding shields and lances. While they play a huge part plot-wise, you don't actually interact with them too much. Solvaria is an enemy boss that appears in a couple of missions, and spoiler, Alice, who is a main playable character, operates as a regular scout throughout the game. The gameplay holds up even in 2022. Imagine a tactics game where you control a squad of units on a map, add in light RPG elements like upgrading gear, leveling up, different buffs and debuffs for each unit, and light third-person shooting mechanics. Mix them together, and you have Valkyria Chronicles. The game offers 5 unit types. Scouts are your medium to long-range unit that is squishy but capable of moving the furthest, and as the name states, Scouts. Shock Trooper, your close-range machine gunners, capable of withstanding and dealing damage. Lancers, your slow-moving but powerful anti-vehicle units. Engineers, the support unit of the game, are able to cover a large distance like the Scout. They also share extremely low durability but make up for it by being able to repair vehicles, resupply units with no ammo, and disarm mines. Snipers, which are pretty self-explanatory, they have low movement and low durability but are capable of high damage from long distances. And finally, the Tank Commander. The main character, Welkin, is your only tank commander for most of the game, although you will get a second one near the end. Tanks provide cover to units through their body or smoke screens. They are also capable of immense damage, the trade-off being tanks take 2 command points compared to the normal 1. Welkins can give orders for command points, which usually buff allies in some way, although there are a few exceptions. Each level allows the player to deploy a certain amount of units. Every turn, the player has a set amount of command points, or CP, dictating the number of times they can move units. The game boils down to either a flag rush map or a gimmick map. Flag rush is exactly what it sounds like. Win the map by taking over the enemy base, done by capturing their main flag. This is probably the biggest flaw Valkyria Chronicles has. You are to believe it's squad-based, from the game allowing you to deploy multiple units, to the tips and dialogue that pushes for squad-based gameplay, but it's not. The effective way to finish a decent chunk of the levels is to constantly move the same 1 to 2 units usually your scouts, and beelining straight to the enemy base and grabbing the flag. The developers try to penalize this by allowing units to move less distance each time they are moved during the same round, but it's not enough. Almost all of the flag levels can be played the same way. Here's me finishing chapter 12 in 2 turns. I'm not great at the game and had no idea where enemies were or landmines, etc., but scouts warped the game so much it didn't even matter. I'm sure better players can clear this level turn 1. This incentivizes the player to use all their experience on scouts, neglecting the other classes. Here are my final levels after finishing the game. For the majority of the game, my only double-digit class was scouts, followed by sniper. The last few missions were mostly difficult gimmick missions that couldn't be soloed by scouts, so I was forced to start dumping experience on lancer and trooper. But make no mistake, scouts still did a lot of the heavy lifting and will carry you through most of the game. Here are my levels before the second last mission of the game to further my point. However, scouts can still do most of the work in a decent chunk of these levels. Gimmick levels in general are like puzzles. The game will try to lead you down one path, but usually there is a way to brute force through it. For example, Chapter 17, which is the third last mission in the game. The dialogue suggests the optimal way of playing the mission is by running around, capturing bases so the boss can't heal. In actuality, the optimal way to play this level is by running one unit, in this case a shock trooper, straight to the middle base. Kill the 3 units, capture the flag, then spawn in your lancers who will be able to kill the boss in 1 or 2 turns depending on how strong they are. Unlike most flag rush levels, which allow you to use the scout rush strategy as your brute force method, even on the first try, gimmick levels require you to either die a few times or play through it to understand how to beat the level in the fastest way possible. Your headquarters is a hub for the player to access vital features like squad management, upgrading gear for each class and your tank, leveling up each class, and learning new orders, basically a way to influence the game state by spending command points during battle. You can also interact with the news reporter Irene, which unlocks new reports on your exploits and potentially new optional missions. I can't comment on the quality of either the skirmishes, which are optional missions, or the DLC, because I did neither during or after the main story. It is understandable why Valkyria Chronicles won numerous awards the year it was released. From the stylized graphics that hold up today, the intriguing gameplay, the wonderful soundtrack, and the thrilling plot, it has all the ingredients of a smash hit. While not perfect, this was the perfect launchpad for a new media franchise, spawning 3 additional entries in the main series, 2 of which are PSP exclusive, 1 of which is Japan exclusive, 1 spin-off game, and multiple manga/anime entries. The latest entry is Valkyria Chronicles 4, released in 2018 to generally favorable reviews. If you can find the games on sale, I would say give them a chance. The franchise as a whole does a generally great job of servicing a niche that not many other games do. You might just find yourself invested in the Gallia Imperial conflict. Valkyria Chronicles is a great game and worth a try. Unfortunately for its North American launch, November 2008, it had to compete with the likes of Gears of War 2, Call of Duty World at War, and World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King. Pair that with it already being a niche game thanks to its anime aesthetic and JRPG mechanics, and you have the recipe for disaster. However, 6 months after the initial release, sales for the game were up 400% because of fans, DLC, an anime, and a price drop. Thanks to that, the franchise has been chugging along ever since, soon to be 5 years after the last entry. I am hopeful we will get another game in this fantastic series. If you enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. Usually I make League videos, but I'm detoxing thanks to preseason. I will be making some more videos like this on games I think are interesting and slightly under the mainstream focus. That's all for me. Hope to see you next time. UO out.